NXT TakeOver Philadelphia is Saturday night, and it is before the Royal Rumble. This is what NXT does now. All their takeovers are before the Big Four pay-per-views. And this show is in the Wells Fargo Center. It's Philly. You're going to get a loud crowd. Not an ECW crowd or anything like that, but it's Philadelphia. It's a hardcore wrestling crowd. They can be nasty. I'm telling you, Philly is one of the nastiest crowds. I think Chicago has, the hardcores, and New York, they'll react to it. But Philly, if you're not doing something that they like, and, if they're doing a bad show, they will crucify you. Those people are brutal. And this card doesn't blow me out of the water. It's not a kind of show that I need to see. But I've been wrong about that for almost every NXT. The card a lot of times looks underwhelming. I don't know about this. And, the way they have so much time at the Performance Center to map out the matches, and it ends up just being a great show. And this will probably happen again, but my expectations aren't that high. So, 4 matches listed. I think there's one rumored. You have Roderick Strong and Lars Sullivan. I don't know if that's been added yet, but that is rumored. So in this match, I'm going to have to go with Lars Sullivan. I like Roderick Strong. I think he's good, but, I think he's going to be NXT for a while. I think he might be, the lovable loser who eventually wins the big title, but it's not going to happen right now. Maybe in a year before he gets called to the main roster, but I've got Lars Sullivan winning. I think they're trying to push him as an ass kicker. He's got a good look to him. I think he beats Roderick Strong, probably the opening match. And then we get to the matches that are officially listed. An Extreme Rules match, Aleister Black and Adam Cole, probably the most anticipated match. We don't get to see matches like this in NXT. They usually don't do those hardcore matches, but I'm expecting more of a brawl. You might see some weapons. I don't know if this is the kind of match where we need too much weapons, but these two can have a great match. However, I am looking forward to this stipulation. It's a different match that they do in NXT. I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's a war. Who wins? This was probably the most... it'd be awesome if they used, but they could. I don't know if they will. They probably won't. Remember Balor and Joe in NXT? Probably no blood, but it would be awesome in Philadelphia. As who wins... I'm going to go with Aleister Black. Even though Adam Cole could easily win, it wouldn't shock me. The Undisputed Era, Adam Cole is such a big star, but I think Aleister Black's going to win the title soon. I think it's Andre Cien Almas and Aleister Black in New Orleans and before the TakeOver before WrestleMania, and I think that's where Aleister Black wins the title. I think he needs to win the title. He's their most over actor, or he could be called to the main roster. It's also possible this could happen where the Undisputed Era interferes in the match, Adam Cole wins, and Aleister Black debuts the next night in the Royal Rumble. That would be awesome. But I'm going to go with Aleister Black to win. I think he's going to win the NXT title soon. I think he has so much momentum. He's such a big star. The guy could be a big star, so I'm going to go with Aleister Black. Now, the NXT Tag Team titles. The Undisputed Era against the Authors of Pain. I think Authors of Pain are going to be called up very soon. I can see it the night after WrestleMania, Raw or SmackDown, maybe a SmackDown. Here's the thing with the Authors of Pain. They've had a good run in NXT. They've lost a few matches. I think there's nothing else to do with them. They were monsters. They'll be monsters on the main roster. I think their gimmick can work on the main roster. I think they can be more of the kind of guys who are okay in NXT but can have a lot more success on the main roster. We've seen that a lot. The trend seems to be the guys who are awesome in NXT don't do so well on the main roster, while the guys who are okay in NXT who get pushes do well on the main roster. You can see the people who they protect. I think they may have learned their lesson with some of the guys they tried to push too hard who flopped in NXT, just couldn't get into the main roster. I think in this match, Undisputed Era is going to retain. It'll be a great match. Authors of Pain can be carried to good matches. When they're there with Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa or the Revival, they've had really good matches. And I think they'll probably be carried here. They've improved. So, Undisputed Era, Fish and O'Reilly are amazing. I think they retain. I think they went cleanly here. I don't think it's a cheap finish. I think the Undisputed Era wins, and I think they retain their tag team titles. Up next, the NXT Women's Championship. This is an interesting match. Very intriguing. You have Ember Moon against the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. It's crazy. I can't believe Shayna Baszler is wrestling in NXT for the title. I've seen her in MMA when I used to watch her fight. She had a couple fights in the UFC and didn't go very well at all. She got smoked, but she was a lot older. I think Shayna should win the title. Here's the thing. I don't know what's going to happen here. I think Shayna's going to win. I'm not so sure. I'm afraid this might end up in a cheap finish. Shayna wins the title. She chokes Ember Moon unconscious, chokes her to death. Then William Regal comes out because we refuse to let the hold. I'm reversing the decision. Ember Moon wins by disqualification. Shayna flips out. I think that could happen. I hope it doesn't, but I wouldn't shock me at all. And it is Philly, and they're going to flip out, so maybe they won't be surprised to do this. I might be thinking this is WWE, but I could see that scenario playing out when Shayna has a submission. She makes Ember tap. She doesn't release the hold. She did that to Candice LeRae, I think, who, by the way, Candice LeRae is signed in WWE. But she did that during the Mae Young Classic and then injured her. That could happen. She enters Moon, and Regal reverses the decision, and then it's a disqualification win for Moon. But I'm going to go with Baszler to win with the submission. So I'm going to talk a lot about this in my Royal Rumble preview. Rowdy Ronda Rousey, another one part of the Four Horsemen, along with Marina Shafir, who's, I don't know if they're married, but she was with Roderick Strong. They have a child together, and Jessamine Duke. I don't know if those two are going to be involved. Is Shayna going to lose the debut on the main roster in the Rumble, and Rousey's there to cheer her on, or is Shayna winning the title, Rousey's winning the Rumble on the same night? I don't know. I think so much has to do with what happens with Ronda and this whole Four Horsewomen thing. I think they probably should have done that match. I don't. That's not going to happen. I think that's off, but I think that would have been good to do that Four Horsewomen match. But as to who wins here, I've got Baszler winning. It wouldn't surprise me if Moon wins in some kind of weird way. She just debuted, but I think Ember Moon's another one who's going up to the main roster. I think she should be in the main roster. There's nothing left for her to do in NXT. Kairi Sane, she's hurt. That's why I think Baszler is getting this match. So I'm going to go with Shayna Baszler. I think it's fine to get people talking. We'll see what she does. She can be a badass. I mean, she's not this great fighter. She was a pioneer. She was one of the first women's fighters to ever fight in MMA. She was like fighting in barns and like fairgrounds and stuff like that. So she's old school. I mean, she's a true pioneer, but was she a big star? But she's not Ronda. We know she's not Ronda Rousey or, a great fighter, but she can be a badass champion for sure. So I'm going to go with Baszler. Main event, we have Andrade Cien Almas being accompanied by the gorgeous and lovely Zelina Vega against Johnny Gargano. Maybe we see a sort of Zelina Vega interference. We see Candice LeRae make her debut on NXT and attack her. That could happen. That'd be kind of cool. So, how I see this ending? I got Almas retaining. He shouldn't lose the title to Gargano. They could go a different direction. They could have Gargano win, and then Ciampa comes up, and it's Gargano and Ciampa and NXT TakeOver New Orleans for the title. That would be fucking awesome. I'd love that. If they had the balls to do that, that'd be really cool. That'd be a good direction. I don't know if they want to go in that direction. I don't think they will. So I'm not expecting them to do that, but that would be really awesome if they had them fight for the belt. But what I see happening is Ciampa making an appearance. I see Tommaso Ciampa costing Johnny Gargano the NXT Championship. Andrade Cien Almas retains. He retains the title. I don't think he should lose. He just won it like 2 months ago. I think Almas retains because Tommaso Ciampa comes out, attacks Gargano, get huge heel heat. Almas retains. Ciampa destroys Gargano again. Now, Ciampa had a torn ACL. The last time we saw him was NXT TakeOver Chicago when he destroyed Gargano and turned on him and went heel. NXT was badly hurt by that injury. That could have been a huge program to do and have those two feud. It would have been an awesome rivalry. However, because of Ciampa's injury, that could not happen. So, I think it happens now, and I think he attacks Gargano and costs him the title. I think we see Gargano and Ciampa at New Orleans. So much could happen. I mean, Aleister Black and Adam Cole. I think if Cole wins, what we could see is Black debuting on the Rumble, and maybe Gargano wins, and it's Gargano and Ciampa. I wouldn't mind that. Gargano and Ciampa for the NXT title. I see Ciampa costing Gargano and having a singles match and it being like Andre Cien Almas and Aleister Black, or maybe Adam Cole in New Orleans. That's how I see it going. And I've got Almas retaining. His reign continues. He just won the belt. He shouldn't lose it. He's over now. Maybe he debuts. I could see a situation where he drops the belt in New Orleans and debuts, but I've got Andrade Almas with the help of Ciampa, and I think we see some Candice LeRae. She might attack Vega, and I think Gargano and Ciampa fight. So, Philadelphia, great crowd. They're going to be hot as hell. I mean, are really happy right now. Their Eagles are in the Super Bowl. This is going to be a crazy crowd. It's not an ECW crowd, but it's going to be a good crowd. So I'm looking forward to the show. These shows almost always deliver, and hopefully you get to see another great NXT TakeOver show.